Hey everyone, BlueTraX Dak here. I am trying something new today that I may continue if it goes well, but I'm starting something I'm going to start calling BlueTraX Reviews, where I go over Trackmaster merch. I know this is something people do, so it's just something I thought I'd try my hand at. I wanted to review the Journey Beyond Sodor Plarail items today. I have the coal hopper set that was released in Japan, but it's not out right now because I'm working on something else at the moment, but I thought I'd go for the models because they're of the most interest right now. So today here we've got the main four that were released earlier this spring. We have Thomas here that came with the coal hopper set. He has a different face. We also have Hurricane, Merlin, and Franklin. So I'll just go over and kind of give my thoughts on what I think, and maybe we'll give them a run around my layout here. So I think I'm just going to go for them from my least favorite to my favorite, as far as their production quality goes. So we'll start with Frankie. She is not motorized and isn't really capable of being motorized either, unless you like took the insides gut of the mountain. I mean, you could cut her up, but you'd have to do a lot to make it work. She looks nice. It's a little small compared to the others, but that's because they didn't bother with trying to fit a chassis in there. It's not the best work that Plarail Tomy has done, but it'll pass. I don't know what I would use this for, except if she was a helper engine. But not really good for anything. I mean, it's not like she's a regular part of the series, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, there is detailing on there. I don't know if you can see it. But like, there's not a lot of paint on it. It's just kind of enough to get by. At least they did. The front looks nice. They did well on the face and the number and MSC, which I forgot what that stands for. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Frankie. She's okay, and that's really all I have to say about that. I really do hope they make a motorized version in the future, because I do think Frankie's a good character and one I would like to use, but preferably not in this form. Alright, so next on the list we'll do Thomas next, because, you know, there's so many Thomases. Every year there's like a new version of Thomas, so we won't spend too much time on this one. It's the same as the other, the normal Thomas that they release. The only difference here is the face. So you can see there, it's got coal dust all over it. It's kind of shiny. Let me see if I have my other. Okay, he's not on his chassis right now, but this is normal Thomas. And just for comparison, this is the old face, and they just released the one with the new face, but this one looks like current Thomas. It's very nicely done. I kind of wish they threw some dust outside his face, but that's fine. I still plan to use it for something. But yeah, it runs. It's standard Thomas. There's not a whole lot to add there, but just so you can see clearly, that's what he looks like. With that, we will go over to Merlin. He is the runner-up here on as far as which ones I like better. Merlin is my favorite model, but he's not number one, and we'll go over why. If you couldn't tell, Merlin is not motorized, and this is probably the worst tease that I've ever gotten from Trackmaster or Plarail, because they did all the work to make him motorized. He even has tires on. He has an empty shell that can fit a regular chassis in it, and then they don't put one in there. There's even a slot for the light switch. Not the light switch, the power switch right there. And they just leave it out. I don't know what the reasoning was behind this. And I'm not going to pretend that I have any inside scoop, but they did not do that. They just left him there, threw a little coupling on front so that I guess Thomas could pull him around the set that they came with. These two came together, Thomas and Merlin. And I think there's like 2 versions of him as well, because on some other channels I've seen Merlin where he has his number on his tender. I happen to get the kind where he doesn't. So as nice as this model is, he is also lacking some basic parts as far as paintwork goes. There's no coal in the tender because he's supposed to be able to fill up on coal from the set, which I might do a review on, or not, but it's just a bunch of like beads, and they're like red and yellow. They don't really look like coal at all. As a drawback to this model is that I think it was made for the set and not just to be a capable engine. So, but it's still disappointing because they did so well on the design of the model. It looks just like the show, really, except for the fact that, you know, it has these wheels on it, but it runs really nicely. This front couplers, since it was made by them, it's a lot more flexible, so it's easy to go around turns. I really wanted it, and you can motorize it on your own. Like, I'll show you the bottom. Even down here, you just take the screw off, and then you could throw in any chassis. I've used James's on it. I've used Hurricanes, which is probably a better match. But Plarail's kind of standardized their chassis now, at least for new models, so any of them would work. But if I were to motorize this, I'd probably get a Hurricane and swap the wheels out, because the tint on this, the red for Merlin, is just slightly richer than on Hurricane. And you have black side rods. So if you wanted it to be completely accurate, you'd have to do a lot of switching around with whatever chassis you decide to put on this. It can be done. I haven't done it yet because I don't feel like buying another Hurricane right now, and I don't really have a use for it. But it is a shame because he's really a fine piece of work that I'd love to have running around here. Overall, it was one of those close but no cigar models. It's, again, really beautiful. It's just a shame that it's missing some really basic parts that would make it a great model. So that's really all about Merlin. So without further ado, let's get to Hurricane, who I've kind of deemed the better model, the best out of these 4 here, at least. Alright, so Hurricane, let's make sure we get a good look at him. There you go. Here's the side view. Should have done these for the others. I'll make a note of that. One of the finest ones that I think Plarail has made to date. The proportions are good. I mean, maybe it could have been a little bit longer, but at the same time, at the end of the day, all these engines end up being about the same size. But the face is really nicely done. I think it's the perfect expression for Hurricane. I did have to paint the buffers on these. Him as well as Frankie. That was one thing I didn't really appreciate, just because it's something they've always done, you know, paint the buffers. I know everyone thinks that we don't care about that anymore, but it's whatever. The side rods are very nice. They're actually silver, so kind of like Stanley's. They're not white like the normal everyday characters are. Let me see if I turn around here. So you can see the back. The back is kind of left alone these days. It's just black. It's not painted to match the rest of Hurricane. So the base color of Hurricane is plastic black. So the brown and the stripes you see here, that's all painted on, which creates kind of a different effect. It looks more like paint, I guess, because it is, and it's not just the plastic color. So it's a very nicely done model. There's his name and number. I've already used him in the background a couple times, just because I like the model so much. I do have the Trackmaster 2 version, and gotta say this one's definitely superior. I guess the fact that it's motorized, which should be a given, is the thing that makes it better than the other three here. Again, I don't see what was so hard about just making the other two motorized as well, but wasn't my call. In any case, all the models look good. I mean, even Plarail's worst work is usually better than Trackmaster these days. So I can say that I'm pleased in general with these. The only ones that I really can't say that for is Frankie. But again, I'm just trying to be thankful here, so yep, that's what they look like. That's the showcase. I think I'll go ahead and do a little bit of them running around the layout, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up this video. Hope you enjoyed the review, hope it was helpful. Leave a like, comment if you want, and I'll see you next time.